If you were to ask me, how do you say you in Spanish? That is, you as a subject. My answer would be, well, that depends. So your next question is, well, it depends on what? And I would say, well, several factors. Mainly, are you addressing one person or more than one person? We have singular ways of saying you and we have plural ways of saying you. Another factor is, do you know that person well? Or is it someone you just met for the first time? So we have a polite you and we have an informal you. The other factor is, do you happen to be located in Spain? Are you speaking Spanish in Spain, Castilian Spanish? Well, there is a special word for you in Spain for addressing more than one person that you know well. Do you happen to be in primarily Argentina, but also Uruguay, Paraguay, or some Central American countries? We have a special word for you for addressing someone that you know well that is different from the you that most other Spanish speakers use in that situation. So let's take a look at the examples. Okay, so we have usted, which means you. We have tú, which means you. We have vos, which means you. We have vosotros, which means you. We have vosotras, which means you. And we have ustedes, which also means you. Usted. When do you use usted? Well, usted is very common. You'll hear it all throughout the Spanish-speaking world. And this is used to address one person in formal situations. Someone that you don't know well, someone that you've met for the first time, or you're just being polite. It's a formal situation, for example, in business. Okay, on to the next one. Tú. We use tú throughout the Spanish-speaking world to address one person informally. In other words, to talk to someone that you know well, a friend or a family member. So this is used throughout the Spanish-speaking world. However, there is an exception. There are some parts of the Spanish-speaking world where they don't use tú. Instead of using tú, they use vos. It's called el voceo. And vos is used instead of tú to address one person informally in certain countries. For example, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, and also in some Central American countries. So it's a special case. Now, when you're addressing two or more people, we have ustedes, which is used throughout the Spanish-speaking world. In the Americas, it's used in formal and informal situations. So it doesn't matter whether you know the person well or if you don't know them, just if it's more than one person, in both situations, formal and informal, we just use ustedes. However, in Spain, ustedes is only for people that you don't know well, people that you've met for the first time, or you're being polite. In Spain, there is a special word for you that is informal, and that word is, well, actually two, vosotros and vosotras. Vosotros addressing a group of males primarily, vosotras a group of females. If the group's mixed, vosotros. If it's just females, vosotras. Okay, so this is again used to address two or more people informally. Okay, so how do you say, now the question is, how do you say you speak? Well, because there are 6 different ways of saying you, we have 6 different ways of saying you speak. So, usted habla, which means you speak. Tú hablas, you speak. Vos hablas, you speak. Vosotros habláis, you speak. Vosotras habláis, you speak. And ustedes hablan. So let's look at each one. You speak English. Formal situation, addressing one person. You would say, if you just want to make the statement, you speak English, you would say, usted habla inglés. Ah, usted habla inglés. Oh, you speak English. Usted habla inglés. Okay, so now, in an informal situation, if you want to say you speak English, somebody you know well, a friend, you might say, tú hablas inglés. Ah, tú hablas inglés. Oh, you speak English. Tú hablas inglés. If you happen to be in Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, some Central American countries, instead of saying tú hablas inglés, you will say vos hablas inglés. Ah, vos hablas inglés. The stress here is on the last syllable, hablas, hablas. The stress over here is on the first syllable, hablas, hablas. Tú hablas inglés, vos hablas inglés. Okay, so now I'm in Spain and I'm addressing more than one person. I'm addressing a group of people. And if it's all males or a mixed group of males and females, I would say, vosotros habláis inglés. Habláis, stress on the habláis. Vosotros habláis inglés. If I'm addressing a group of females only, then vosotras habláis inglés. Note that we often omit the vosotros or the vosotras, so you will hear just simply habláis inglés in both cases. If I want to say you speak English, formal and informal plural in most of the Spanish-speaking world, except for Spain, then you would say ustedes hablan inglés. Ustedes hablan inglés. You speak English. Okay, so remember, 6 different ways of saying you: usted, tú, vos, vosotros, vosotras, ustedes. If you're just starting out in Spanish, this might be a little overwhelming, but as you get more practice and experience, it will all make sense. Okay, so let's try to apply what you've learned. So you are in Mexico and you want to tell your friend you speak English. You just found out that your friend speaks English, so you want to tell him, oh, you speak English. One person, somebody you know well, you're in Mexico, you would say, ah, tú hablas inglés. You speak English. Tú hablas inglés. Tú hablas inglés. Okay, so same scenario, but you are in Argentina. You just found out that your friend speaks English. What would you say? Not tú hablas inglés, but vos hablas inglés. Ah, vos hablas inglés. And note, we often omit the tú and the vos. So you might, in Argentina, you would say hablas inglés, hablas inglés. In Mexico, you would say hablas inglés. Ah, hablas inglés. Okay, so now you are addressing one person and you want to say you speak English. It's a formal situation. So you would tell that person, ah, usted habla inglés. Oh, you speak English. Usted habla inglés. Okay, so now you are in Spain and you just found out that your friends speak English. They're both males. You would say, ah, vosotros habláis inglés. Vosotros habláis inglés. You would probably omit the vosotros and just say habláis inglés. If your friends were females, you would say vosotras habláis inglés. However, you would probably omit the vosotras and just say habláis inglés. So now you're in Mexico and you're telling your friends, ah, you speak English. You found out that they speak English, so you would say what? Ustedes hablan inglés. Ustedes hablan inglés. Okay, so as you get more experience with Spanish, you will sort out the different yous very nicely.